days and wasted nights. You piss them all away. Little children in the street, dying every day. We all look for something we can never find. And we all need peace of mind. Lonely wretch on the street, looking for love. $20 beneath the sheets. Is this all she thinks of? We all look for something.
Three, two, one.
Hey, Timmy, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, pretty good, Sean. Here, hey, I heard last night there was a pretty big meeting with city violence going on. So why don't we just jump right into it?
Excuse me. Got me a little cough here today. I think this the weather's getting nice. As soon as it gets nice, I get sick. I don't know what's going on. Timmy, hang on one second here. I got to fix something. I'm having a little technical difficulty.
Shirley, hang on, okay?
All right.
So-
I fixed it. I had a cough.
Yeah, okay, okay. So, hey, Bobby Carroll, are you listening to us?
Who's listening to us?
Mhm.
So I was playing. I was playing around with the computer earlier, and I realized that the bigger we get, the faster we're growing. I can't keep up with all the people that are joining the show. Guess it's a good problem to have. But so the last couple of weeks, Tim, I paid a lot of money, got everything up and running. We had no problems. Today I have a little hiccup, so if something happens, we'll just have to deal with it accordingly. But it's all based on the fact that so many people are watching the show now. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on iHeart. You can find us on Apple. And that's all good shit, right? You can find us here on the live show. So if you want to see our ugly faces, you watch the live show. If you want to catch the show while you're driving, sitting home, just listening to, the audio, find us on Spotify, Heart, or Apple. But Timmy, I was interested in last night's meeting, and the question really comes down to this, right? Is Cohoes actually a city in crisis now? Now, if you ask a lot of people who watch this show, they'll be the first ones to tell you that for the last 2.5 years, we have laid out piece by piece by piece all of the problems that we have seen, that have been reported to us, both from citizens, business owners, restaurants, people that come to visit, you name it. We've had people report to us the problems going on in the city, right?
Oh yeah, right. It started out really about 2 years ago, Canal Square, and if you recall, Sweet Happy Days. She basically said, "Look, I can't stay in business down here just because of what's going on around Canal Square." Okay, they've got haircuts for $10, dogs pooping all over the place, sales drugs all over the place, needles all over the ground. You name it, Sean, and that's just the beginning of things.
So here's the reality, right? Every single thing that could happen is happening. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And it's not because, it's hard to govern. It is hard to govern, but it's because the people who we have in power today are clueless. Every single thing that they attempt to do, change the things that were working, put in their own little play, is failing at a high level. Let's just take a look at a few things, right? We talked about Ransom Street. We talked about businesses closing. We talked about the bums, the violence, the dirt, the filth, the needles, the park. We've talked about all of these things taking place in Ransom Street. I was nauseated by talking about them. Finally, the business owners and the residents who have the courage, because a lot of people don't have the courage. They don't want to go to a city public meeting and talk about stuff because they're afraid of retaliation. And although I don't believe, that would happen, that's what they're concerned about. they showed up last night and they spoke. And you know what? Here's something that's really cool. The media says Cohoes, 5 years of failing policies. Basically, what they're saying is over the last 5 years, the city of Cohoes has become a city that is failing, and I agree
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
see it firsthand, and so don't these businesses, and so don't the people that visit. So I guess last night, a good amount of people showed up and shared their concerns, and from the people I talked to, the mayor of the city, who used a couple of his basic, if you don't like it, move out of the city when people show up.
And
Uh,
right, and the cops can't be everywhere. That's what he says too.
Right. Basically, right. Basically, last night what they said was, well, I think how you perceive things ain't the reality. Come on. What does that mean? If I see shit that's bothering me, like bums on the street, people breaking into our businesses, people shitting on the sidewalks, drinking, people putting tents up, sleeping in the park, and you guys do nothing about it, that's not perception, bro. That's reality. And
Hmm.
we're
Hmm.
bringing our perception or our reality to you to share with you our concerns. And your response is, well, maybe how you perceive it isn't the reality. Stats are telling us stats, my ass. Timmy, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I took statistics in college. You know what the teacher told me? There's two types of statistics: the kind you look up and the kind you make up. Okay. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter which way you use them because that's how they're used. Right. We talk
Yeah.
about crime being down. Crime ain't down. Arrests are down. And so when arrests are down, crime looks like it's down. It's like saying unemployment's down when in fact there's more people unemployed. They're just not looking for jobs. So you don't know they're unemployed anymore, or they're not applying for unemployment because they've already collected it, right?
Yeah.
So
And
the
look,
reality,
right,
go ahead.
right, and here's reality. Okay, Chief Walden. Okay, when they were trying to sell the old library building, right, they had vagrants and people breaking in and living in the basement or the lower levels. They'd arrest them, let them right back out, and they'd go right back into the same old library building. Okay, there's no consequences, and that's another example of people just not obeying the police when they're told you can't be in there. And another thing, so why did we buy a Harley Davidson motorcycle if we're
Well, the,
not
the
patrolling?
reality was I bought a golf cart, and we used
Yeah,
that golf cart in a lot of different places, and people loved it because the cops would be driving in the golf cart. You could get up to them, talk to them, touch them. It could fit
yeah,
down in between all the senior centers. It could go along the bike path. It was really a
yeah,
great tool, and people
right,
loved it. But because I bought it, he had to sell it,
right,
because anything that I did, he
exactly.
had to undo. And I will
But
say
why
this
the Harley?
I'll say
Why
this
the
with great pride. Everything he undone is a failure. If he could have just been a caretaker and just left things alone, and the city would have been fantastic, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he had to go and change things. Like the first thing, go spend $40,000 to put up new signs with the wrong birth date on them. I mean,
yeah.
right? That should
That's
have been
true.
your first
Yeah,
sign that the guy's an
right,
incompetent fool
right.
because he
And you
didn't even
think,
know. Yeah,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, he didn't even know when the city was incorporated as a city. Okay, and where's the council, Sean? Okay, they don't bother to do any research. They don't bother to say, "Hey, this is wrong," and here's the deal, and then put out a resolution and say, "Hey, we're going to fix this problem once and forever." Nothing from the council, and it's just time and time again. I see the same thing all the time, and it reaches a point in time where it's futile. Okay.
Well, I mean, so last night I think you had people like Manny, um,
Yeah.
and Danny O. These are
Right.
business people.
Manny Santos. Right.
Manny
Yeah.
Santo, right? These are business people who have invested.
Yeah.
I know they invested because they came to the city with me. I recruited a
Yeah.
lot of these people to come and believe in the vision of Cohoes. That's how we
Mhm.
built this city up again, right? We built all new. I'm talking right now about the downtown. We built up a lot
Right.
of the.
Right.
We're talking about the downtown, the nucleus of our city, right? It
Mhm.
used to be an
Yeah.
old town street, boarded up, and nothing on it. Then it became a street that was rocking and rolling so well that we were looking to build a parking garage because we couldn't fit people Monday through Sunday, right? The
Yeah.
place was just rocking and rolling. The music hall, the rock the block, the events. all these things that help keep businesses afloat, bring people to our city, make it a destination in the capital region. All that stuff is gone. So now what you have is you have a city that's just trying to find out how it can stay up on its feet, and they don't have a person who knows how to do that. And we can look at a couple things that fall, to my attention, right? Let's just talk about a few things here, Timmy. First and
Yeah.
foremost, and I'm trying to illustrate the incompetence, right? I'm going to start with the solar lights. We talked about solar lights 2 years ago when we told the people of Cohoes that the $400,000
Street light bill, okay? Was it like $450,000, right?
$450,000 a year streetlight bill if you just left them alone. Okay.
Yeah.
The maintenance of those poles and the lights were done by National Grid.
Yeah. Everything.
Was what we could afford, and we didn't need to go with this, bullshit that's green, these new lights, they're going to last forever, blah, 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 blah. But this guy, I turned it down. They came to me and said, "Hey, we want you to do this." I said, "Absolutely not. We don't have, $400,000 a year to pay for a loan to pay for lights when we're trying to build a city and we need new sidewalks, et cetera, et cetera." But Keeler goes and gets sold a bill of goods. They buy these lights, right? Now everybody hates the lights. The lights used to cost $450,000 if we did nothing. Now they're running about 250,000. And then the city tries to tell the people, "Oh, we saved $150,000 a year with these lights." And I say, "Bullshit, you didn't, because first of all, you got to pay for the loan that you took out for the next 20 years, which is part of the light bill now, right?" So now you have a $400,000 a year loan, plus the 200 and 250,000 a year for the lights. Plus you got, the maintenance and the replacement of the bulbs. And so let's just be conservative. You're paying somewhere between 580 and 600,000 a year for lights that used to be 450. Tell me that's a good deal. So that was the first major mistake that we talked about on the show.
And Sean, let me jump in real quick on something, okay? We got a person that just joined in here. She's out of Peaksville, okay? And Peaksville is they're looking to put solar panels on their reservoir out there, I understand. So, Marianne, if you're listening here, put something in the comments and let me know how true that is, okay? Because, Sean, that's what they're looking to do. And they were asking us in Cohoes what our experience is, with the solar LED system going in on a reservoir. I told her.
Well, we're going to jump into that next as the next biggest failure.
Right, I told her we're $900,000 into it and we haven't got a single panel on a reservoir yet.
So let's talk about why that's another blunder by the people in charge here. So they come up with this idea that we're going to be the first city, maybe the first anything, that's going to put solar panels on the drinking water in a city, right?
Yeah.
And they get all these grants. Tonko gets a grant, the National Grid gets a grant, the city's getting all these grants. They tell us that it's going to cost about 190,000 city tax dollars, and
200,000.
Right. All right, let's say 200,000. Long and behold, we find out a couple months ago that the city's on the hook for $900,000. So again, they can't even figure out how much it's going to cost them to do a project that's been sitting there for about 2.5 years. The panels are sitting up there in front of a decayed building that has all these no trespassing signs up now, so Hennessy can suspend people and keep Timmy Thibodeau and Truth Lies
Keep me out of there
off their property, so we ain't taking no pictures. But there's another blunder. So now you got lights that are costing you $150,000 more when you pay the loan. You have a solar panel that's costing you $900,000, like the city of Cohoes is flush with this kind of money, right?
Yeah, and they haven't got a panel installed, and we're the only municipality in the area, Sean, that's shelling out $92,000 a month for ambulance service.
Well,
Okay.
there you go. Then on top of that, I was
Jesus
going to say.
Christ
So then
sakes.
we have a situation, folks. Please listen to this. I got you. I got your attention here, right?
Yeah,
Focus on.
right.
Read my lips here for a minute,
Yeah.
because this is just mind blowing. Anybody who doesn't
Yeah.
see this as one of the most major political blunders in the American history, not
Mhm.
just Cohoes. The city of Cohoes used to have a private ambulance company that they paid nothing for. And they were here for
Yeah.
as long as I was a firefighter. Bobby Signoracci was the mayor. He brought them in. So let's just say, 25, 26 years. They decided they were going to retire and go out of the business, right? And so another company called Ambulance, which was really a union
Yeah.
busting private kind of ambulance that didn't really do emergency services, at least I believe, but they did more
Yeah.
transporting, decides to come in and become part of the the emergency services in the city of Cohoes. So Bill Keeler meets with these people for a couple months, right? And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, he comes out and says, "Well, I met with them and I thought it was going to cost zero for that ambulance, but now they want $1 million." Like, what meeting
Mhm.
were you at where you thought it was
Yeah.
zero and everybody else walked out of there thinking it was $1 million? But long and behold,
Yeah.
we paid $1 million for an
And
ambulance
that
that used to
actually
be free.
happened.
But here's the
Yeah.
kicker, folks.
Yeah.
Here's the kicker. I'm sorry it takes a little time to get here. I want you to see the full picture, right? Here is the kicker. Mohawk Ambulance, which is the biggest ambulance company, private ambulance company in the capital region, the biggest
Yep.
private ambulance company. They had 20, 21, 22, 23 ambulances on the road at all times, offered to do it for free. Yes, for free. And this brainiac down there in City Hall decided he didn't want them. And so he takes the free ambulance service and casts it aside, hires this ambulance. After about a year and a half, they want to get rid of ambulance. So guess what they're doing today? Today we are paying $1 million to the ambulance company that was going to do it for free.
For free.
And,
At
and
no
after,
cost.
after we turned them down, we
Right.
went crawling back to them and they said, "Of course we'll still do it for $1 million." And now we have a contract.
Right.
with
So
the
we're the
company
only ones shelling out $1 million a year for ambulance. It's
Yes.
insane. And this is
now,
how bad we're mismanaged,
so
Sean.
now we're paying $1 million for an ambulance from the company that was going to do it for free. And I think the
Yeah.
funniest part of this, and I don't mean it to say it's funny in the way we're laughing, but funny in the fact that they're so incompetent that they were going to do it for free. We told them no, and then we're paying
Yeah.
them $1 million a year later. I mean,
Yeah.
what else do I have to say between solar panels, ambulances, and all you
That-
have to do?
And now, and the crime, okay, it's all over the place, city. All you got to do is go down there, and down around, Second Ward in that area like that. Okay, it's drugs, it's vagrancy, it's getting out of hand down there.
Well, I've been saying it from
But you
from
didn't
day-
answer my question. Why do we have that Harley Davidson?
Well, I
Wasn't
don't
that
know.
supposed to be able to go around the city and have a presence? You don't see it.
I think one of the cops got hurt on it, broke his leg, and I think they very rarely use it now, and they use it for parades, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I
$25,000 vehicle for parades.
I know
Another-
that this show is about truth, lies, and political bullshit, and every
Yeah.
once in a while, we would like to say, "Hey, this is good. This is good. This is good." The only thing that I still believe that's good over the last 5 years is the one thing that I brought to the city, which is Rock the Block, because it's the only thing that's successful. Everything else that we did is gone. Now,
and I want to hit on that. Okay, you brought in some unique talent. Remember, you had a Michael Jackson guy that did Michael Jackson. You had another guy that did Elton John. You don't see any of that with the current gang. It's always the same bands. Okay, like that. They don't have any vision to bring in acts and talents. Okay,
I'll give them a little bit of kudos for one thing, right? So you can only bring in bands that are out there touring at the time or willing to play.
Yeah.
So even when we were having like Tower of Power and some of the big bands at the music hall, they have to be on a touring schedule. And sometimes those bands are just not available. I think Rock the Block has a decent lineup this year. I think people really go because it's a great gathering place where you can hang out with your friends, have a few drinks, and listen to some music. And the sad part for me is that Rock the Block wasn't, I didn't build Rock the Block just to have concerts, right? There was concerts in the park before. But I understood as part of our community development, the economic development, if we were
Yeah.
going to keep businesses alive in a small little city with 16,000 people, we
Yeah.
needed to have an influx of people coming to the city all the time to visit those establishments, including
Yeah.
the music hall. So we came up with the idea, let's build this Rock the Block and let's make sure that our city's clean, it's safe, that cops are walking the beat all the time, the golf carts going up and down, that when people come to this city, they say we could walk from the music hall to any restaurant and never feel like it's unsafe. And that's what we did. We built an experience for the citizens of the city and for the people coming. Now, you don't have to believe me. We were the fastest growing city in New York, not just the capital region, but in New York State for 2 years in a row. We were in the top 3. Never in the history of our city has this ever happened. But when they do the Times Union, and I hate that paper, but they do
Yeah.
the best of, Cohoes, for the first time ever, we were in the top 3 best cities. We were in the top 3 with best restaurants, and we were the number 1 with the music hall for small music venues. So we were rocking and rolling, Timmy. All
Yeah.
of that has died. So I asked this question. There's a little poll that I put up here in the bottom. And all you got to do is take a quick snapshot with your phone on the QR code, and then you can answer the poll. Is Cohoes a city in crisis, or are we just overblowing this whole thing? Now, the people I talk to think we're in a crisis mode because you're on that teeter-totter where people are just going to pack up and never come back, right?
Yeah.
And the question is, are we there? Do you think we're there? What do the people think? Do the people think we're there? I personally believe that the city is in a crisis myself. Because in economic development, Timmy, you can't get people to go to a city that's dying, invest all their money, see it go skyrocketing up, and then see it go down to the bottom again and think they're going to come back for seconds. They're not. We see with the fire site, right? It's still not built. We see with the $10 million. I'm going to see the little shell game they play. I'm not going to mention no names, but the people who put in for the old Calkins building, saying they were going to do renovations for a couple $1 million. So the city got, when we received the $10 million grant, I think 400 or 500,000. And I'm just paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what I read. But it was a large sum of money that was going to go towards that project, right? And then I turn on the Facebook a couple weeks ago, and guess what building's for sale? The building the building that was Calkins that has the approval of a grant for 500,000. You think, now I'm not sure, and I'll stand corrected, but we'll find this out. So did this guy who bought that building for peanuts, who held up a lot of my development because we had a opportunity to we were like on the cusp of bringing a Hannaford to go in the downtown Cohoes because it was going so well that they were interested in putting one of their first Hannaford to goes there. But he was trying to get $500,000 for a building he paid like $50,000 for. And I'm not exactly sure what the true number was, but it was a low number that he paid for. But now, is he a smart businessman saying, well, I bought it for peanuts. I'm going to try to sell it for $500,000 because now it has a grant attached to it that $500,000 can be invested into that building. And therefore, whoever buys it gets a free $500,000. Is that really what this was, a shell game? Because it doesn't seem to me like a guy who really wants to, fix up the city or care about the city. He's trying to sell the building now that $500,000 is attached to it. And I don't see any of the other projects really kicking off yet. Do you?
Well, yeah. I mean, we got a brand new library taking up space right across from Canal Square, and that's just going to be a hangout for the homeless and drug sales and all that other stuff. Okay, we're supposed to be seeing. I don't know when the community center is going to basically get up and running. Okay, and stuff like that.
Let's talk about that. Danny McCoy was on the show the other day, right?
Yeah.
And Danny, if you're listening, I know you listen to the show. Thank you again for coming on and talking about the Cohoes Community Center. and the reason you know decided to buy it. But let
Mhm.
me be very clear: the mistake was that the city did not buy it. The mistake
Yeah,
is the city didn't apply for the $1.5 million pool grant. The mistake
yeah,
is the city could have turned that into a one-stop shop for the seniors, for the kids, for swimming, for working out. You could have
yeah,
put your library in that building. It could have been a one-stop shop. And I promoted that for 2 years.
yeah.
And
But
I
because
think
you promoted it, it didn't go anywhere.
I think that's
Okay,
the
with the
truth.
current admin. Okay.
I I think because I was the one pushing to buy the community
Yep.
center and turn that into a one-stop shop, add it to the
Yep.
booming downtown we already had going. It is
Yep.
now a county building
Yeah.
where the county will own it. Therefore, the county will now use it as they see fit, and the
Yeah.
county will control that building. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing,
No.
but I'm saying it's not as good as if the city owned it and the city
Hmm.
controlled it and the city could decide how it would
Yeah.
be used, right? Maybe Danny McCoy comes in and says, well, we're going to put a bunch of offices in there also, and we're going to have, you know, probation services and mental health services, and we're going to promote this and we're going to do that. Whatever they decide to do, Timmy, is what they
Hmm.
decide to do. And there's nothing we can do about it. And so, why I'm happy that Danny stepped up, because I was sad to watch that building just sit there and decay. Um, I think it's going to be another one of Keeler's biggest blunders, um,
Yeah.
because
He didn't
that
seize the opportunity to get it. And I even think personally, this is just me. I think he's part of the reason why the thing folded when it was Gateway.
well, it is because I'll tell you another story. So
I think is because he wouldn't give him a break on the water for the pool and stuff like that. I could be wrong on that,
so
but that's what I think.
let me tell you how that whole panned out. So
Hmm.
the owner of Gateway came to me and we sat down and I said to him, listen, trying to get somebody to invest in a community center today in today's world is
Yeah.
very difficult. In fact, even some of the major players have packed up and went out of business, right?
Yeah.
But you have the YMCA's, you have the ABCs, you have Planet Fitnesses where it's, you know,
Yeah.
$10 a month to go in and use the gym. And you have a whole bunch of other different clubs where people can get in at a pretty cheap price, right? And the stuff is new and it was constantly being upgraded. And unfortunately, Cajones, we didn't have that. We had an old building, a pool that had leaks, a gym that, had, you know, uh, long past its prime, I guess I should say. We had
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
steam room that often didn't have no steam. We had showers that were broken and leaky. Needless to say, it was an old building that's seen its prime and needed a big facelift. I went to the YMCA's, I went to the ABC's, I went to the Planet Fitnesses, I went to every major group in the world to see if they would come and put a satellite in our city.
Hmm.
And I understand the business world. And they said, absolutely not. The cost is too much and we couldn't do it. So I sat down with the owners who owned Gateway and I said, listen, go look at it, come back and tell me what you think. He goes and looks at it, he goes, Sean, you're talking about $700,000 in just upgrades. I got to pay 400,000 or something for the building. You're talking $1 million. I can't swing that without any help. And
Hmm.
and I appreciate the opportunity, but I can't do it. And he leaves. So I meet with the council and I say, listen, I have an idea. The community center was a non for profit. It didn't pay water and sewer, right? It didn't
Hmm.
have to pay, these big water bills and the sewer bills, which is, $50,000, $60,000.
Yeah.
And, we gave them money to offset some of the cost if they provided recreation to our kids. So why not do the same to this guy so that he can open it up, invest the money? We'll get free membership for our local kids and we'll have access to the pool and to the gym free for our kids on certain dates with city run programs. And it was a great partnership between government and a private industry. And it happened. And I
Hmm.
gave him that commitment. He invested the $1 million. And when it was time for Keeler to step up to that commitment, he refused to do it. And the guy just couldn't afford to pay the money for the water and the sewer and those taxes. because
Yep.
it wasn't drawing enough people, and we knew
Yeah.
that. We said you're not going to
Yeah.
have enough money to pay all the bills, but we don't care because we'll supplement you because we pay $200,000 a year in recreation,
So
Timmy.
yeah. So as I said, he crashed this too.
Yeah, he crashed this
Okay,
too.
5 years. Okay, Sean, they've been in power, say, for 5 years. Name one thing that Steve Napier has done that you could call economic development.
Yeah,
One thing.
I think Steve Napier is again that would go into the category over here of another
Well, he
blunder.
did right. He sold the parking lot, but but one name one thing. I can't
Well,
think
I
of a
can't name a thing
single
because
thing
I
that
don't
is
think he's done a thing.
economic development in Cohoes.
Timmy, I can't speak to this as truth or if it's just rumor. And I don't like talking rumors, but you know what? You got to throw
Yeah,
them out there. Rumor has it that for a year and a half, he wasn't even doing no work. He was getting a full paycheck and he was going to college to get a degree in economic development because we
yeah,
hired him without a degree. And so he went on the city's dime and got a degree. Now, I would like to send an email to him, Timmy, if you would do that and ask him to clarify whether he went to school during the time he was being paid by the city. And then there's a lot of people who send us emails saying he's never down City Hall. He's on Ransom Street at his business, why he should be
yeah.
at City Hall doing some work. If you
Right,
look at his
doing
product,
doing taxes. I guess some.
if you
You
look at
know,
his product, clearly he's not
yeah,
capable of doing the job. So that's
no,
another blunder that we
yeah,
see. So if you live in the city of Cohoes,
yeah.
I don't know what you see. I don't know
Mm.
what you hear, but I can tell you what I see and what I hear, and Timmy sees and Timmy hears, and we put
Yeah.
it out on this podcast. Whether you like us or you don't like us is irrelevant. We're giving you the facts as we know them, and
Yeah.
take them for what it's worth. And Timmy,
Look
I
at
can
it.
tell you that there's a lot of people that don't like us that watch our show because every day they're bashing me on the Facebook, and I think it's great
Yeah.
because if they're bashing me over the show, they said, "Oh, Sean Morris thinks he's the voice of cause." I don't think I'm the voice of cause. I think I'm the podcast of cause with Timmy
Yeah.
Thibodeau, and we're sharing you to the people what we know. But it's
Look at it, I
great,
do
Timmy.
the right. Look at it, I do the research on it, and I got to tell you, okay. Here we have a council, okay. You had a water plant flood in January, okay. You had raw water getting into the clean water, okay. The surveillance camera system was not working. They refused to admit that. Okay,
Yep.
they had flooded water coming out of the building. Okay, they won't give us the turbidity chart because so they're concealing the actual chart that recorded the event, and then Hennessy goes on TV 10 and says, "Oh, I got a bacteria sample, okay, and it came back clean." And then when I foiled for the report, there is no report.
Well,
This is the bullshit that goes on, Sean, and this is why this podcast exists. And I'm going to take it one step up more. I put in a complaint well over a year ago that the mayor was campaigning in City Hall for David Soares. 1 year, okay? It took them 9 months for them to come to the Common Council and say, yeah, he did it after our investigation. In fact, he did it twice. And what did the council do in March? Here we are approaching June, Sean. Didn't do a damn thing. You know what? We don't have accountability. Okay, we don't have responsibility. We don't have leadership, and all that shit is going to. And it's not from just the top. It's that all of our elected officials. Okay, they just need to step up and start doing their damn job.
well, you know why they're not doing their job, Tim?
No
Let, let,
accountability. No
let me let,
consequences for it.
let me just show you something. I'm going to show you
Yeah,
why politicians aren't
yeah,
doing their job because it's really clear that they're not doing
yeah.
their job because watch this. Let me just see if I can
Mhm.
find this for a minute, Timmy.
Sure.
It's going to take me a second to find it because I'm not. I don't know if I had. I thought I had the.
I hear an audio.
Yeah, can you hear it?
Yeah, it's a
I
vote,
want.
some kind of vote.
I want you to see it though, and it was up and running a little while ago. And remember, I told you I had a little technical difficulty. That was the
Yeah.
technical difficulty.
Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, no.
Back up. But Kramer was falling asleep at the council meeting. And I pointed that out. I think it was Sean Van Sleet sitting right next to me. Said, Sean, look at that. He's falling asleep. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I apologize. I was trying to get that up and running, but there was there was a glitch for some reason because somebody sent it to me, and sometimes when they send me things for whatever reason, when I try to upload them into our system, they don't
Yeah.
work so well. But anyway, I think you got the point. If you did
Yeah.
see it, the bottom line is this guy is a $185,000 a year congressman, and he's sound
Yeah.
asleep. Okay.
Yeah, and there's another one just caught today. I think her name was Ding something or Ding
Yeah, she was
Ding.
another one sleeping
Yeah,
today.
another one. She's there like she fell asleep too during
Well,
a
Timmy,
some
listen,
kind
I
of a
think
hearing.
people understand what's going on in Cohoes, whether they like it or not. That's up to them. If you like it, that's good. If you don't like it, share your concerns. I know that a lot of people are afraid to go to these meetings because when you go to the meetings, they beat you up. But you know what? You got to have a little balls every once in a while and take on the system, right?
Yep.
I fought the law, but the law won. But
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't go out there and give it your best. Hey, Timmy, what about this? Huh? Where are you?
Dingo. There's
Dingo,
Dingo.
huh? So
Dugan, that's her name.
her name is she's a Milwaukee
Dugan.
judge.
Right.
She's the one who said to the illegal, "Hey, there's the back door. Run!" Right. So
And let her
basically, you
out the
got a
back door.
judge. So she
Yep.
just got indicted,
Yeah.
and to me,
She
I
did.
think it's a good thing
Yeah.
because to me, it finally sends a message that all of these woke judges that
Mhm.
put people in jail for breaking
Yep.
the rules, breaking the law, think that they
Yep.
have this power where they can do what they want and there's no
It-
accountability. Like I'm the king of the world, right?
Yeah.
What happened to everybody has to follow the same rules? What did Letitia James say? Nobody's
Yeah.
above the law.
Yeah.
Nobody's above
And
the
this
law.
Dugan here, Sean, is saying that she has some kind of immunity, which is false.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe against COVID because she got 10 shots because something had
Mhm.
had a
Yeah.
warp her
And
brain. But
Letitia James, okay, she got subpoenaed. Okay.
yeah,
So
so
she,
the house of cards is falling.
yeah, it is. Okay, sure is.
And I
It's
think
just
the
not
house of
going
cards needs
fast
to
enough for
fall.
me. And Sean, the ethics board had a meeting tonight in Goes, right? Probably 2 hours ago, somewhere like that, right? To discuss a complaint that I filed in January. Where are we now, Sean? Mid-May, and okay, they're supposed to have a voter decision on something I filed in January. They screwed it on up, had to refile. 5 months, Sean.
Timmy,
5 months.
to me, it just looks like government as a whole, the Democrats as a whole, they're just lost, bro. They just
Yeah,
don't know how to get back up off of their asses when they got knocked down. They're like a drunken boxer
yeah,
who just got slammed and he keeps trying to stand up, but he can't get up. Every time they make another move, they look like
yeah.
fools. Now we have a mayor and we have Congress people trying to like break into a detention facility, and then they start arguing we have oversight. Well, there's a difference between oversight
Mm.
and how you get into the building of which you have oversight when it's a prison or a
Yeah,
detention center, right?
yeah.
People's lives are at stake here. What if you just go
Mhm.
running in there and somebody's got a knife and sticks it in your chest, right? Then you'd be saying, how did they let that congresswoman in there? These people are morons. These
They
people
are.
don't deserve to hold these positions, but I keep saying it all the time. The real morons are me and you and the people that
Mhm.
keep voting for these politicians. The Democratic Party, of which I am a member, because I can't get myself to think that we can't turn it around, is a
Mhm.
clown show at the highest level. It's a clown show, Timmy.
It's
We're
bad.
break
Bad.
we're going to other countries to fight for criminals, why we have problems right here that these people don't even step up to in their own districts, like murders and rapes. And
Yeah.
you got AOC flying all over the country in these private jets saying, I don't want, let's get rid of oligarchies. Most people don't know what they are, but she's eating shrimp and cocktails on a private jet. Okay, she wants to be part of the oligarchy like everybody else, right? Everybody wants to be wealthy and have a
Yeah.
great life. So, like, to shoot
Yeah.
those people down, we've made rich people the enemy when the enemy is really the politician who sucks the rich people dry. I was in politics, Timmy. I know
Yeah.
how many times you keep going back to those people sucking them out of a check because you need it for your fundraisers, right?
Yeah.
So the oligarchy's good when you're running for politics and you want their money, but they're not good when what?
Yeah.
When you don't like what's happening, so you blame it on the rich people. 99.9% of the problems in this country today are caused by the Congress for which those morons have been in charge of for the last 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, so Sean Bansley, you're absolutely right with your comment there. That was our good old rose-colored glasses Gilbert, who doesn't see anything wrong with the city. Okay,
I had a
and
chance to talk to Gil today.
What'd he say?
Well, I think he has a different an opinion. I think Gil did what Gil would always do. He's defending
Yeah,
his city that he's the Democratic chairman of, lived here his whole life, raised his family here. And I understand, because sometimes what happens is that people are not as laser focused as they need to be when they're making an argument, and they'll make an argument, the whole city's falling apart. And I think
yeah,
Gil's
yeah,
position is, no, that's not true. Like, the whole city's not falling apart. There's still good sections of this city with good people. And I agree with
Well,
him.
I agree with them there too.
I disagree with him that the city downtown is not falling apart, because I see it falling apart.
Just got
I
to
see
drive
it
down the
falling
street.
apart every single day.
hmm Just drive down the street and look at
I
all the
see it falling apart. I see the bums. I see the trees broken, the grass growing
Yeah,
through the sidewalk, the broken parks, the needles that you and I
yeah,
saw, the broken beer bottles, the trash all over. I see it, and I get the phone calls like I can do something
yeah.
about it. Oh, Sean, you got to help. What am I going to do? I'm no longer in
Mm,
office. I apologize. I can
yep.
advocate about it on my show, and they go,
mhm,
please do. Somebody's got to help us. So we advocated on the show. This ain't shit that I make up. I got better things to do than worry about all this other stuff, right? But
Yeah,
we
I
have a
agree. Yeah.
podcast, and the podcast is about truth, lies, and political bullshit. And what you're getting from the city is bullshit and political
Yeah.
lies. So while Gil's standing up for his community, and kudos to Gil for doing so, I agree that this is a great community. We have a lot of problems.
We do. Hey, Sean,
And
look at
they
right. Gil lives right around the corner from me, right? All he's got to do is drive over. He knows where my house is. I got a water leak in the middle of the road, city water leak. Okay, been leaking for 2 weeks. They dug down and said, "Well, we can't find any leak down there." Well, why is water coming up to the surface and flowing down the street,
Too
boys?
bad it wasn't oil, Timmy. You'd be
You
rich.
know,
It'd be
it
like the
was.
Beverly
Oh, boy,
Hillbillies.
well, if it was on my frontal property, I'd certainly say yeah. But think about it. We can't get a water leak fixed, okay, that's reported, and it's 2 weeks. They dig down on Western Avenue, right over there for a water leak for you know who. Okay, they said there's no leak there, but there are 2 leaks at the reservoir. Okay,
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think,
so it's the
you know,
same gang that checked the reservoir, same gang on Western Avenue. Must be the same gang up here on my street that sees that water coming up and flowing down. Said now that we don't see no leak there. I guess I got to have that and Biggs drive down the street.
I think what really needs to happen is what just
hmm
happened. Citizens that would normally not be complaining,
hmm
business owners who often don't complain,
Yeah,
right? And stakeholders who often just don't complain all got together to
yeah,
complain. And what
yeah,
was their response? For the last 5 years, the city has been going downhill.
yeah.
Okay. You can make the claim, oh, I put new windows in City Hall. Who gives a shit about new windows in
So,
City
Sean,
Hall?
what was the result of the big meeting last night? Okay, where about all this violence going on? What did you capture in the end? That
Well, what I captured is Keeler said to people, your perception is not the reality, right? And then he has
Is
Todd
that it?
Walden, who's the police. Yeah, then he has Todd Walden, who's he's a pretty slick guy,
Yeah,
and he basically, goes over piece by piece and looks how you blame the state for raise the age and how you blame the state
yeah,
for bail reform and all that. And we can
yeah,
concur with him that those are problems
yeah,
because we've talked about it on
yeah.
this show. We had Lee
That's
Kinlan on, we
true.
had the sheriff on, we have all these other people on. But the bottom line is bullshit. Don't tell me there's nothing you can do. You just
Hmm.
keep doing it and doing it and doing it until you get the job done. If that means you arrest people 57 times and they let them go 57 times, you arrest them 58 times. Eventually they go, I got to get out of Cajones. I don't want to get arrested no more. There's ways to fix the problem, Timmy. I told you, right?
Yeah.
You have code enforcement. You have rules and regulations that allow you to make businesses stay clean and pick up their property. You have all kinds of opportunities to take bad tenants and bad landlords and get rid of them. Okay. You
Mhm.
tell a landlord who's got a 4-story building that has a bunch of bad people that they're becoming a nuisance and you're shutting it down. Guess what? He cleans it up because he loses revenue. You pull their certificate of occupancies. There's a lot of things you can do, but you got to know what
Yeah.
you're doing. And basically last night you had a council that didn't say 2 words. I mean,
Yeah.
not, at least not what I heard when I was watching the little snippets this morning on
Yeah,
Facebook.
so I'll check with my mole, Sean Van Sleet, and ask him what happened at that meeting last night.
He said the
Okay.
first step in solving a problem is recognizing there is one, and he's absolutely correct. And I think the mayor's position, consistently is
Yeah.
there's no problems here.
Yeah.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
there's no problems. You live in a $500,000 house. You got a
Up on
$20,000
Western Avenue.
raise on Western
Yeah.
Avenue, right?
Yeah.
Your whole family got big raises. Everybody else, let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. The fire
Yeah.
department is struggling just to maintain manning because he doesn't want to pay them, right? Because he doesn't want to pay
Right.
the firefighters. For whatever reason, they speak their piece and he wants to destroy them for that, right?
Yeah.
But, the police department is a young department, young kids.
Yeah. They are.
And I don't blame them for anything, but I'm going to tell you something. All the seasoned people left. That tells you something, right? Most
Mhm.
people stay in that job 30 years. Most
Mhm.
seasoned people have left. Okay.
Yep. And I'm
the
not
young
here to
kid-
bash the young people that are
No,
serving.
I God bless them. I'm glad, but
Yeah.
you have no
But-
experience on top of.
Right, they have no experience, but they're also in a new era now, Sean, in which they'll tell you themselves, we don't have any power to do anything.
Well, that's the point. We've conditioned them to believe there's nothing we can do, right?
Yeah.
So the people run rampant.
Mhm.
So we have
Yeah.
a young police department, and that makes it very difficult. They're conditioned to believe there's nothing you can do because the leadership tells them that. I don't even know where you start and where you begin, except there's problems, right?
Mhm.
There's just big problems, and I know you can fix them, but recognize the problem. Write down on a piece of paper the order that they need to be addressed. A, the first thing you have to do is fix the crime. B, the second thing you have to do is you got to clean up your city, right?
And you have to care, Sean. He doesn't care.
Third of all, you got to, then you got to start cutting all the grass. 787, $15 million project. Timmy, how I got that project? I threatened to lay it across the highway. I'm sure there's a lot of people that wish I did and got run over, but I said that to the governor. I'll lay on the freaking road until you fix it. Another kid's not going to get hit by a car in our city because you guys don't want to spend money. And they come out and they spend the $15 million and we don't even cut the grass. And I never see police down there anymore. So I
Right.
drive
I
down
don't
there.
see
People are
police.
going by me 50 miles an hour.
Yeah,
So,
that happens to me.
and so I don't see them really doing a whole hell of a lot. And they're not holding people accountable. And they're not using, they'll send, code enforcement up and give you a ticket because you got your garbage can cover open. Okay.
Yeah, if it's
But they won't-
more than 45 degrees elevated because you got too much there. Hey, you can't put that much garbage.
But
in
they
it.
won't do a freaking thing. Yeah, but they won't do a thing to landlords that have bad people live in their house that have kids that are just, running wild and destroying our city. So
Yeah, code
they're
enforcement
half-assed
was down
backwards.
right. Yeah, code enforcement. They were down on Remsen Street, right, picking on a business because they had too many signs on the front of their new business. All right, but all you had to do is drive down the street, and somebody had another business had signs all over the place, but they were on the inside of the building. Okay, in the
Timmy,
glass windows. It's
you
insane.
could
Why are we picking on people that's just trying to earn a living?
we could
Okay,
do 20 podcasts about the problems
sure
in the
we
city
can.
coast. But here's what
Yep,
I'll do. I'm going to leave you with this, right? I don't
yep.
think the city's dead yet. I still think
No.
it has a heartbeat. The problem is it needs a pacemaker. And I don't think Keeler's the right person to be the pacemaker. I think he has in no directly. I shouldn't say indirectly. Well, indirectly with his policies and having other people do it, but he's directly responsible for the policies. So I guess it's directly.
Hmm.
He is directly responsible for the fares of the city. He's the mayor,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
Well,
all
look
his
at.
policies.
I'm gonna end my little show tonight by saying I survived 5 years of Bill Keeler. I've got another 3 years to go.
And everybody else has survived too. But here's my goodbye, my parting shot. It's your city. Stand up, be heard. Think about when you go out and vote that you're voting for people that can do the job, not because they're your friend, not because they're a former police officer, not because of this or that. This is your life. This is your livelihood. This is your
Yeah,
city, whether you were born here or moved here. Take 5 minutes
yeah,
of your day. If there's a problem, send them emails. Send them to us. We'll bring it up on the show. But take part because the city's only going to get better. I think you're going to see something happen because all these people showed up, and these are the people that matter. They're
yeah.
citizens, they're business owners, they're
Good,
stakeholders, people that lived here their
good.
whole life, and people that just moved in. They matter. And he didn't have the ability this time to look at him and say, if you don't like it, move out.
Hmm.
Okay. Because the look on his
Good.
face was like that dumb stare of his.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think your perception is wrong. Bullshit.
Mhm.
If that's what they believe, then that's what they believe. Listen to them, hear
Yep.
them, fix the freaking problems, make Cahoes an all America city once again, make it Cahoes proud, and fix the date on those signs so people know when we were incorporated.
Sure. And
And until
Sean, one
next
little
week,
update
Timmy.
to you. One little quick update, okay? They have moved. It looks like either the floating devices to start laying out on the reservoir for the solar panel system.
Timmy, that's
So
going to
you
be
know
an
what that
epic
means?
failure.
The drone will be going out. Very
Yeah, well, they can't. There's no trespassing on that drone. It can fly anywhere,
eh,
right?
you can't stop me now, okay? Hey, that's
Hey,
that's
Timmy, I
it
just
for
want to
me
throw out
tonight.
one more thing, right? I just want to say to everybody who's watching the show, listen, if you're a veteran or you're a member of the Cahoes American
Mhm.
Legion or any American Legion, make sure that when there's a show at the Cahoes Music Hall or if Rock the Block's happening, stop in and visit the American Legion in Cahoes, have a drink, help support the veterans. We're still trying to build a new roof on the facility. We can use all that can. They have a
Yep,
fund there. So when you go down, have a couple drinks, throw them a $5 bill, say put that in the fund for the roof. We'd
yep,
appreciate it. But hey, there's a lot of shows at the music. If you're a
yep.
veteran, if you're a member, if you're not a member, get down there and sign up. I think it's $40. It's cheap, but it's a great place to go, socialize, and help out the veterans, man. I really appreciate that. And until then, I'll see you at the American Legion. Take
Take
care,
care,
Timmy.
Sean. Have a good night.
You too, buddy.